He gets the resources to make it back. Can wall jump. Oh my god. Oh, hold on, production. Oh my god, it's over.
One more chance.
The wait, the patience, the up strong. So Philo wins CEO.
Looks for another one. The air dodge. Up tilt. Up special. And it finishes it off. Through it. Only 24% though. Cake still holding down. Get him attack. Scouted. Down air. Ion.
Rivals of Aether released its sequel series over a year ago, dropping the 2D sprites for 3D models, new defensive systems that changed up the game, and of course, new characters. It's been touted for its incredibly balanced roster, but is it actually balanced? Today, we are going to go through tournaments during the first year of the game's lifespan and discover which characters are the best, which are the worst, and if the gap is actually that big in between. Also, Rivals 2 patches the game frequently, sending out new patches every 2 weeks. So, we will also explore how this frequent patching affected these characters and ask if it is healthy for the game. Let's dig into it. If you're familiar with my meta videos, you know that I gather tournament results and assign character percentages based on placements at certain tiered events. Rivals 2 does not have either a tiering system or a Wikipedia tracker, so instead we will be using my friend SEG's system to determine what tournaments we will be looking at and how much they impact results. First, let's look at the base roster from the release of the game and see how they all compared throughout the year. Starting at the bottom, we have Raster. He's a lightweight multi-jump character who is all about controlling the air and reading DI mix-ups for big combos. Plus, has an incredibly potent but committal kill move with his up special, kind of like Jigglypuff Rest. He can even increase his aerial movement speed in a slipstream that is active when Raster lands a hit on his opponent. Compared to any other base character in the cast, Raster definitely struggled to define his place in the metagame. That's not saying he's outright bad. He still takes a strong 5.3% of tournament results and has multiple appearances at the top cut of majors, piloted by excellent players from across various plat fighters like Marlin, Dakpo, BioBurb, and Mr. R. But what makes him struggle so much compared to his peers? Well, it's essentially that air-based game plan that goes against the design philosophy of 2 defense mechanics, crouch canceling and floor hugging. To keep things simple, these mechanics can reduce the knockback of certain attacks at certain percentages while you are crouching. And Raster's aerials are pretty crouch cancelable. Add on that Raster likes to be in the air more than most characters, he also loses out on more opportunities on using these defensive options for himself. Add on being the lightest character in the game by a solid margin, meaning Raster cannot make as many mistakes as his opponent, plus his mix-ups being incredibly difficult to master at mid-level. Raster just stands as a character who is just too difficult to balance in this game's engine. He has received a few reworks during the game's multiple patches, mainly to help alleviate mid-player woes, but took away some of his kill power and airspeed that worsened his strength at the top level. Following up Raster, and not by much of a lead, is Orcane. Orcane is a slippery orca dog who creates strong set play with their puddle. It can be used to trap opponents with bubbles, empower strong attacks, and it's even Orcane's recovery move, teleporting to wherever the portal is created, which allows Orcane to go for incredibly deep edge guards. Orcane washed up though at 5.77% of tournament results, was mainly carried by one player at the very top, Marlin. Marlin made numerous top cuts at majors and even secured a major title with Orcane at Battle of BC7, and the only other player to make top 8 with the whale was Remrin at Get On My Level Forever. Otherwise, the character has seen scattered results from a bunch of other players. Orcane stands as another character adrift to the tides of patch notes. 1 month, Orcane drowned out the competition and was seen as a very strong option for best character in the game, and another month of patches in that thought bubble would pop, and Orcane would be down in the bottom third of the roster. Orcane and Raster stand together currently as the 2 characters who seem to struggle to find their appropriate identity in the game's roster that is fun, fair, and balanced. But I'm sure over time the Rivals team will figure out where these characters best fit. Next up is Rivals 2's first new character added to the sequel, Fleet. She is one of the game's premier zoners, controlling space with her sharp archery and whirlwind gust. Add on the ability to float in the air for a brief period of time and a down air that shoots a projectile that spikes, and she is one of the scariest edgeguarders in the game. Fleet raked up 6.72% of tournament results, but unlike the other 2 characters before her, she has seen quite a lot of success at the top level. She won 2 early majors under Rivals 1 former best player Assault, taking the gold at Heatwave 7 and Don't Park at the Grass 2024. And while Fleet was slapped with some nerfs and hasn't seen the first place moniker since, she still gets consistent top marks from top players such as B-Bats and Mystery Soul. While Rivals 2 has a ton of anti-zoning tools, such as the ability to break projectiles on hit, and invincibility granted to a player who is able to parry and reflect a projectile, Fleet is still able to make things work to her advantage. The middle group stand at complete opposites. Forsburn comes at 7th at 7.57%. Using smoke and clones, Forsburn tries to deceive his opponents to win. Because of that, he is a relatively complex character to pilot. Despite his lower usage at top results, he sits with the most major wins under one of Rival's best players, Assault. Other Forsburns made it to top cut like Soul Rifle 211 and Pikmon but Cake Assault carries a majority of his character's tournament results and total event wins. There was definitely a time where Forsburn was one of the best in the game, but after receiving some nerfs that continued to tone down his overall strength and safety on shield for some moves, he's still doing pretty well in this metagame. Just as Rivals 1 patch notes used to say, Forsburn isn't broken, Cake Assault is just better than you. Above Force at 6 is the Tyrant himself, Loxodon at 8.99%. A heavyweight axe wielder with strong zoning capability through his versatile boulder, and complex movement and recovery due to his magma charges. Loxodon is usually considered the worst in the game, but his popularity is only second behind Zetterburn, and multiple players have made top cut with the characters such as Kakinga, Stango, and Omar, plus has many other strong players across the US getting amazing tournament results. But the thing is, he very rarely makes it that far, with also a total of 0 event wins in this dataset. Now, Loxodon at the start of the game was almost undeniably the worst, but as patches toned down the power level of other characters, plus Loxodon seeing a mix of buffs/nerfs throughout the year, his bottom placement feels a lot more debatable. And for a character considered bottom 1 by a decent margin of the player base, it shows how balanced the game is that he shows up this often in tournament results. These last 5 are the characters which defined Rivals 2 first year, all hitting over 10% of tournament results. At 5th was Maple, the fast-paced Wrath of Nature just barely at 10.09%. She can overwhelm enemies with her superior speed, evasiveness with a small hitbox, and strong, fast frame data. Maple does struggle a bit with her recovery and lightweight, but can also secure early kills with her tether ability. She saw major top cuts from players like Elkies, Mata, Enbad, and on top of that has 2 major wins, a Genesis title and an EVO championship from Melee legend Plup. Maple is still incredibly fast, but saw some overall adjustments to her hitboxes to make her easier to contest. Characters who have high speed and plat fighters will always be around as a threat in these kind of games. At 10.12%, the best heavy in the game comes forth, Crag. Crag has Rock, and Rock is a move of all time. Add on grapple tools like a cargo throw, an atypical recovery by forming a pillar off stage, and some of the highest raw power in their strong attacks compared to essentially the entire rest of the cast. He embodies what a heavy should be. But Crag is also complete combo food due to his size, and Rock can just as easily be used against him. Crag has a ton of strong players, with Cheesy Potato, Stango, ZB, and Zeus the Goose all making major top 8s this year. Crag even has a major win, with Ion winning Riptide. While patch notes toned down his throw game and the speed of action ability with Rock, Crag still does incredibly well, and Rock is still a good move. Rano kicks off our top 3 with 11.45% of results. The Frog had an explosive start when the game was released, with top cuts from various players such as Ant, Leffen, Luck, and Squanto, and at the time he was generally considered one of the best in the game. Rano has a quick poke projectile with his poison needles, immaculate frame data on all his attacks, maybe the best tech chasing in the game off of his throws, can rack up damage quickly if he catches you in his acid bubble, and has ridiculous mobility through his base stats and slingshotting off of his bubble as well. Over time though, Rano saw a wall of nerfs throughout patches, toning down his movement speed and lag on certain moves, recovery, almost kind of everything to be honest. He's still good now, but not overwhelming. That being said, he has struggled to make the top cut the second half of the year at majors, but has regional wins from Dia in Europe. Rano is still incredibly popular despite all the nerfs, and as stated earlier, as nerfs are planned to tone down the general power level of other characters in the game, maybe Rano will find those top results once more. The runner-up is Claren, the future savior with 11.92%. Now, if you're familiar with Marth and Smash, you know of the tipper system mechanic. Claren has one too, but instead of just increased knockback, it even stuns opponents, leading to more combo opportunities. So yeah, she's pretty good. She of course has great spacing on a lot of her moves due to being, a sword, and had on a 50-50 mix-up on her throw game into forward smash for a kill confirm. Yeah, she's pretty good. She has a ton of strong players at the top level, with Boyko, Gengar, Music, Nard, Ranganshu, and Spargo all top 8ing majors with the character. Despite her continued perception as standing as one of the better characters in the game, honestly sometimes even the best throughout its lifespan, Claren still has not won a major, but she has come at least exceedingly close a few times. Her more simplistic nature yet powerful tools lends her being a very popular and successful character in this metagame. Of course, the spacey influence was going to be number 1. Zetterburn stands tall at 13.15%. He's PM Wolf. Oh, you want more explanation? Okay, fine. Zetter has strong pressure tools such as Shine, plus quick mobility, strong moves with flexible function like his up air and forward air, tick damage off of his flame-based moves like his projectile or back air, and while an opponent is on fire, if Zetterburn lands a strong attack, it deals more knockback and can kill even earlier than normal. In similar design philosophy to the Space Animal, just as he can combo opponents forever and pressure them forever, Zetter can also be combo food due to his fast-falling nature. nature, and his recovery is somewhat linear and exploitable, but not entirely predictable. With popularity, of course, comes success. Players from across various platfires have seen top-level results, with Acorn, Beastly, Cody Schwab, Hampolo, Stango, and Switch all making major top 8s. There was even a point that Zetter was inarguably the strongest in the game, where he was just dominating the top cut of tournaments. Despite all this, Zetterburn, though, has only won a singular major, with Sofilo winning CEO. During patch 1.2.5, Zetter finally saw nerfs to his kit. A lot of nerfs. He went from the absolute best to still good. Some of his matchups became quite harder to deal with, but he never stopped finding top placements at events across the globe. Since launch, 4 DLC characters have been added to the game and have had varied impact on the meta, except Galvin. He's been out for like 2 weeks in the time frame of the dataset, so there isn't really much to say. He's pretty fun though, props to the Rivals team. Galvin is like if the Rivals team took Melee Bowser and gave him an amalgamation of strong moves from other Plat fighters, plus win more tools through his galvanization on hit, which powers up certain attacks and can create drills to combo off of. Rewinding back though, Edalus was the first DLC character to come out, but didn't crack through the surface of the base cast, only hitting 3.41% of tournament results. He still has reps who put in the work, with Animal, Bullets, and Fullstream making top 8 at majors, but still hasn't won a notable tournament yet. His limited popularity might come from the fact that he's a very unorthodox type of character. He puts down a lot of ice and uses ice physics for his playstyle and is very slippery, but also has a very exploitable recovery. The third DLC character, Absa, sits at a pretty similar level. She's another Zoner-esque type of character in this game, has melee double jump canceling but a lot of Zelda's kick aerials, a Pikachu-esque recovery, and in general is a very explosive kind of playstyle, but she's also definitely the game's glass cannon. With her limited time period, she received 1.04% of results. She's had a bunch of one-off results, but is mainly carried by one player currently, Amped, with multiple major top 8s with the character. But if there is one DLC that really made their presence known, it was Olympia. With only half year to work with, Olympia masses up 4.54% of results. Still lower than the rest of the base roster, but her impact is arguably way more present. At release, Olympia was very strong, probably and arguably number 1 in the game, and her early results matched. She had amazing movement tools and mobility to rush down opponents, a deceptively good recovery, combos 4 days, very strong kill power, and simple kill confirms. Many switched over or added her to their roster, with Ion dual maining with Krag, Stango winning 2 majors in a row with the character, and Brawlhalla's best player Sandstorm picking up the character and finding consistent top marks at majors. She did eventually see nerfs to her frame data or damage on some moves, but still stands among some of the best in the game. I wouldn't be surprised on the full year dataset for year 2 if she ends up being one of the most represented characters in tournament placements. So, has Rivals' incredibly frequent patching been a boon or a bust? Personally, I would say it has been a plus. Well, mostly. I think many agree the game is in a much better position than it was at launch. The overall power level feels way more toned down, making fighting most other characters way more enjoyable than it was. No character feels like they're overwhelmingly represented at top 8s anymore, and even the newest character Galvin, even though he's seen as not very strong, is already seeing usage at the very top level of play. None of the characters can't do it, they're all viable. And as they continue to go through every character in the cast and just annoying or overtuned tools, the overall balance is just feeling better and better as time goes on. But on the opposite side, some characters seem to feel like they are in an identity crisis. Arcane has been going through a roller coaster of patches, either being one of the best in the game or quite underwhelming compared to the rest of the cast. The team has struggled to find a happy medium. Raster sits in a similar boat, going through a restructuring of his primary tools and struggling to be balanced according to Rivals' 2 new systems. Then you have characters like Loxodon, who have received a lot more nerfs than buffs, despite their reputation of not being very good, because the character can be seen as quite frustrating to play against due to his heavy weight and honestly ridiculous zoning. On top of that, the whiplash of some character adjustments have made it a bit frustrating for players to find the character they want to play. Despite all of that, it definitely feels like the general patches that come out now are aimed more towards bug fixing than big sweeping changes. All in all, I think Rivals 2 meta is in a very healthy spot hitting its first year in. No one character feels dominant in play, and the game has been very entertaining to both watch and learn to play. If this video has in any way influenced you to try it out or pick it back up after not playing since release, I highly recommend trying it out, as core mechanics have also been updated too, to be a bit more beginner friendly. To end things off, I leave a message to devs. Dan, stop nerfing Loxodon. Glory to the Emperor.
Battle scar, get these bars hard. Thus became an author, not the art part. I say, this the hard part. Restarted the lost art. Can make a smash from the mouth. I'm an all-star. Like this, like switch, like this.